Hello and welcome to another episode of the Three Donkeys podcast. My name is Adam Levitan. I'm one of the three donkeys. I am the father of the most beautiful beast in the world, Jerry, and I am joined by my fellow donks, the fellow dolts, Peter Jennings and Jonathan Bales. Peter, what's going on, man?
Oh, just being a donkey as usual over the weekend. Pretty tough main slate. Did salvage in the primetime slate, which was, I guess, good. Keeps the power on so I can record this Three Donkeys podcast. And, yeah, other than that, got destroyed in racquetball yesterday. Played Brandon Stokely again. Did get a couple points in the first couple games, and then I offered him a $100 free roll because I wanted his best to skunk me. That was in play, and he skunked me 2 games in a row. So confidence is down, but keeping up with the donkey brand.
Bales, what's going on?
Not much. Could you imagine offering Brandon Stokely a free roll in racquetball and having him win 30-0? I just can't even imagine how good he is in racquetball because Peter is pretty good. He's better than both of us.
Right.
Dude, I've been playing and I've been whooping these kids, and I hit this serve that is really good. The serve that gave Levitan so many problems with his backhand, and I rifled a couple of these serves to Brandon. And he just waits there, and then he hits this ridiculous backhand that's just a straight winner right off the bat. I hit a perfect serve, and he's just bam!
Where is he hitting it?
He's hitting it right off the freaking wall, very low, and it just rolls off. Anytime you hit the ball there, it's not up against the wall. If it's anywhere in the court, he hits a winner every time. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's you hit it one of those high shots, and he lets it come out the wall, and he waits for a super long time, gets real low, and he hit at least 20 shots in those 2 games that are just rolling off the wall. You couldn't even get a racket on it. No chance.
Yeah, that's the shot. I go for the splat shot, more low side wall, front wall kill. But if you can get it so low that you can just go straight front wall kill, that's pretty sick.
Yeah, he has that, but he also has the side wall. He has that dialed.
Yeah.
If you're on the wrong side of the court, he uses that. I mean, he's just
right.
He's a pro. I mean,
Levitan's forehand splat shot is pretty good. Yeah. Backhand is the I guess the weakness, like frying pan tennis, right?
Yeah, backhand's a total disaster.
I would invest a lot in Stokely skunking either one of you guys.
I'm sure. You mentioned something there, Peter, about the primetime slate. I don't think people realize how much action goes down on these mini slates. Do you find you get more nosebleed action on these primetime 2-game slates than you do sometimes main slate and stuff like that?
Very good question, Levitan. Wiggins, friend of the podcast, would not want me to disclose any such information that about the primetime and the liquidity and the games. But yes, it is juicy. I had multiple 10K 3-mans, 5K 3-mans. I actually had as much invested in the primetime slate as I did in main cash. So it's pretty ridiculous.
And I noticed that too. I can't post head-to-heads fast enough for the primetime slate. Literally, as I'm posting them, they're getting picked up. It's so insane. And I think it's for 2 reasons. I think, first of all, it's easy. People think it's easier to make a team, right? You can make less mistakes because you only have to go through 2 games and how far off can you really be? You can't miss too much. And also obviously people just want to watch the games and sweat these games that are on in primetime. I don't know. Do you think there's any other psychology there, Bales?
Also they just lost their money, right? And so they're trying to get it back. I think that's a big part of it.
Or they just won and they're trying to keep it going too.
Yeah.
I mean, both ways. It's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think that's the main driver. But I would be interested to hear Peter's take on if it is actually if you can make fewer mistakes, because I think that there's potentially a lot of skill in that, particularly with setting up late swaps and things like that, which become way, way, way more important in those smaller slates with a big time gap between games.
Oh, yeah. The swapping is ridiculous. I mean, I spent hours looking through swaps for yesterday, made a couple of them. And, yeah, I mean, it's crazy how much you're just going through and trying to add up salaries and whatnot. I do think there's a lot of skill in them if the slate is set up well. This last primetime slate was really nice because we had a ton of guys that obviously were really nice fantasy plays. So, yeah, it's one of those things where it really depends on the slate, but there definitely can be a lot of skill. The worst case is, in general, the sites have gotten a lot better about this, is when you can't spend all the salary, and the only advantage in those spots is when someone who's cheaper than someone who's more expensive is a better play. That's really the only edge. But yeah, a lot of these slates are really nice, and in general, primetime is trending in the right direction.
Bales, I would have thought that this past week would have been a really good week for you, considering how badly the chalk failed. I thought that it was insane. I couldn't believe that Ryan Fitzpatrick and Adam Humphries was the chalk, and we talked about this a little bit Sunday morning. I just couldn't believe it. But everybody's all in on Ryan Fitzpatrick. Everybody's all in Adam Humphries. I thought that was thin. What I didn't think was thin was Le'Veon Bell. I didn't think that Bilal Powell was thin. But if you took a super contrarian approach this week, and I had Bilal Powell at 51 to 60% projected ownership on DK, which was the highest I've ever given anybody. He ended up in there in the higher stake stuff, and the Millie Maker, I think he was 45 or whatever. But there were some really high ownership spots that were obvious. Did you try to go super contrarian at all, Bales, and did you succeed?
I got away from Humphreys and some of those other guys. I still played Powell a lot, around his ownership. So that obviously hurt. But I believe the entirety of my Powell exposure was on DK. So I've just been doing better on FanDuel this year for whatever reason. Maybe pricing structure, I don't know. But I had some landmine plays again on DK, and then some guys that did really well. I didn't play any Selleck. I just thought that was a spot where he was going to be super. Maybe he was fine in cash just because of the price. He was 25 or 26 or whatever. But that he was going to be overowned because the narrative with the Giants and stuff. So didn't have any of that, and a couple other plays like that hurt me. So did not do well on DK.
Yeah, I thought for 500 more, Hooper was just such an obvious better play than Selleck. But Selleck was out there every snap again, just about. And people are like, oh, well, he got a fluky big touchdown. That's what the Giants do. They just allow fluky big touchdowns to tight ends. So I don't know.
Speaking of fluky touchdowns against the Giants, Ty Freak this week.
Yeah. I know it's not going to be good this week. Ty Freak's probably going to go ham. Ty Freak's probably going to
Kelsey. What are you guys doing with Kelsey this week? And do you think that the Giants tight end thing is real? And do you think it's as big of a thing as what people are talking about now? Because now everyone just knows that you play tight ends against the Giants, right?
So I think when Janoris Jenkins is playing to his level, and when their pass rush is playing to their level, it makes a lot of sense that the tight ends do really well, right? You're not going to throw in Janoris, and you're going to have to get the ball out quickly against their pass rush. The thing is, this year, Janoris has not been good. Their pass rush has not been good. So, I don't know. They've let a touchdown to every tight end they faced this year. They haven't given up huge yardage games, but tight ends rarely have huge yardage games. So, yeah, I think Kelsey will be overowned at his price for sure. But, it's kind of hard to get away from him. I think he's 7,300 on DraftKings. I'm sure he's cheaper on FanDuel. So, yeah, I don't know, man.
Those top tight ends are easier to play on FanDuel. So, I'll probably just get all of the exposure there if I have them. But, they didn't give up crazy yardage totals, like you said, just a bunch of touchdowns. And maybe they're bad, but it just seems like kind of an overrated thing to me when you're giving up 5-yard touchdowns to tight ends and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. The Ty Freak thing is not going to be good this week because this is obviously a really good spot for Tyreek. So I'm sure he's going to be really heavily owned, but I'm sure that it's not going to be pretty for my mentions on Sunday once Peter starts getting in there, assuming Ty Fluke does fluky things to the Giants.
Can we also just real quickly talk about how good Chipotle Addict and Papa Gates are?
I think we did that last week, but they crushed again.
Crushed is an understatement. They took 1st through 6th, I believe, in the Wildcat. Every tournament over $1,000 that I looked at, they were 1-2. They won the primetime queue. They passed me in the other queue. with Cam Newton and Chris McCaffrey. I don't want to, go too much into it, but I mean, I think they're clearly the greatest fantasy players of all time now. I think it's definitive.
They're incredible. They're absolutely incredible. And Peter had a horrible beat this week with lost a Q to I think Chipotle, was it? And with Freeman.
I lost by 1.5 points with Freeman, and that team had Cam Newton, Funchess, and Christian McCaffrey. So obviously Cam threw a touchdown to Christian McCaffrey and 2 to Funchess, and I lost by 1.5 points. That was tough, but I felt like it was inevitable given how good those guys are and kind of the role that they're on. But yeah, there's been a ton of great players. Obviously, Sawhill, Condia, Wiggins, A.E. Jones. There's a ton of guys to go through, but just in terms of overall success, I think it's pretty hard to argue with those guys now.
How long does a super bad beat affect you guys?
This one stung, but I'm on to today now.
Are you over it by the morning?
This morning I woke up in pain from the racquetball and a variety of different things. So I was feeling a little down just overall, but I'm good now. I'm fine. I mean, that's a nice thing. If I was playing poker last night after that last Funchess touchdown, I would have been firing hard and spewing and tilting. So
yeah. No, I try to blame myself for everything, right? So, like, one way I find not to tilt is like, oh, well, this guy got so lucky. He did this, this, and this, and this happened. I try to find myself, like, even if I played Freeman, like, I would just be like, oh, I should have known that he was going to get hurt or whatever. It's like, even though it makes no sense, just like try to blame myself for literally everything so that I don't tilt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the injury thing doesn't make sense really to me. But I know what you're saying. That I think that's a good approach. Like you could. There's so much luck, but like, yeah, if you did something a little bit smarter, you would have won that, right? Like, so you put it on yourself. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I sort of do the same thing.
Yeah.
But the main thing
on the plays, the injury thing. I mean, I think that's just a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, of course. I was just going.
You don't look at like Tevin Coleman going off and are like, oh, what could have been?
Yeah.
No,
I agree.
That's what happens with me. Like the plays will never really affect me. It might be just like a small amount of time, but the injuries fucking kill me. Yeah, I hate the injuries.
I mean, it's easy to say now, and I've obviously had some bad injuries, but I don't recall an injury being more expensive to me than Devontae Freeman. Because I run him in cash, and basically all the pros were on the same lineup, and I had Freeman and Tate versus Antonio Brown and Humphreys or Godwin, and I just needed like 3 points to move up and all these 50-50s and all this stuff. And then the Qs and the tournaments, he is my most leveraged player by far. And
how much do you think the swing was?
Oh, I mean, multiple six figures for sure. I was just looking at some games, like 3 points on DK and main slate was like 70,000. 15 points was over 100,000. That doesn't even include FanDuel. I mean, it was ridiculous. That's how the cookie crumbles sometimes.
You got to not look at that after, man. That's like
really.
No, I always try to. I mean, I wasn't trying to like compare. Like that wasn't my intent for looking through all the games. I mean, obviously it's part of it, but the bigger thing is I do try to review all the high stakes games and look through games a lot. And what's crazy is the overlap was ridiculous this week, especially on DraftKings. I mean, in that 2K 50-50, like 8 people ran the same lineup, 4 people ran a 1 versus 1. And there's the 2 versus 2. There was like basically 15 guys all like on the same lineup essentially.
Yeah, everybody ran the Donkey Fitzpatrick Humphreys lineup.
Yeah, it's true.
I know.
And it was bad. Brait was the bad play. Across the board, just had Mike Tangier or Mike from Fantasy Pros on. Can't pronounce his last name, but he talked about how Fitzpatrick hasn't really targeted the tight end, and the Brait shock was I felt pretty bad about after the fact.
I think Jordan Howard. I mean, besides Humphreys, I thought Jordan Howard was the worst play I made. I thought I was fine with Brait. Jordan Howard, though, like if they don't get a lead, he's so screwed. And like you're talking about a team that's like playing with Mitch Trubisky, like it was really. I thought Jordan Howard was way worse than Brait. But yeah. Anyways, in terms of the results thing, like. Like I still remember like the biggest pot I lost playing poker. Like, it's just a spot where like I probably should have 5-bet this guy pre-flop, and instead I just flatted, and then like I took a bad beat after that. But like if I would have just 5-bet pre, then it would never would have gotten to that point. So like just find always a way to blame myself. You know what I mean? So stuff like that. But anyways, let's move on here. Oh, me and Bales went to the gym today. Big update. I believe Bales legged out a mile. After we did that, we didn't run together. I ran on the treadmill. Bales ran on the track. After we did that, we did some sprints. So, Bales, you want to give a recap? How are you feeling? It's been about, 9 hours since we ran?
Yeah, not great. I feel awful, actually, to be honest. It's like a different level of train. Like, I think I'm like pushing myself, but you're never actually doing it unless like something's on the line or you're racing or whatever. So it's just so different. But yeah, I might give up on the bet. I'm drawing dead in the bet. We did run a couple not against each other, but a couple quarter mile time trials that I lost in that too, but closer I guess in the sprints.
Don't let Bales fool you. He's just trying to get 6-1 or 8-1 from me, and then he's gonna train like crazy. And
you can ask Levitin.
No, I think Bales is definitely still in play. It's definitely still in the running for sure. I mean, we did these sprints. He was fine afterwards. I was literally felt like death. Like I couldn't. Like I collapsed after the second one. So yeah, like one thing about this show is technically about gambling. Like one thing that you should never do is exactly what me and Bales did. Brandon saw our time, knew about our original race, knew what time we ran, and then was still willing to bet. Meaning he knew that he was going to beat us, right? So like it's just so dumb. Like, we've been doing this a long time. I should know better than to make a bet with somebody when he has all the information and we have none of it. So obviously it was really bad.
Yeah, but part of the reason for me, I have less downside because I got odds, but part of the reason for me was to like motivate me to do stuff. So went to the gym, and if I can like create a habit out of it, then it'll be worth the money that I lose for sure. So that was a huge part of it. And I didn't think I was dead at the time. I think that probably I have no shot now. Like thinking about, I don't know what Brandon's running, but I just don't think there's any chance that I can catch him. But it'll still be worth it as long as I continue to work out after the bet. So we'll see.
Right. All right, let's move on to the big Q this week. There is a 5K on DraftKings, I believe, handing out. It's a mega Q, so instead of just the person in first getting the seat, multiple seats will be given out. Peter, how many entries? Are you still chasing this Q? How much have you invested into a seat so far at the live final, or do you not even want to think about it?
A lot of questions there. A lot of good questions. Actually taking a look at the queue right now. I have 3 in there. Fortunately, all 3 of these were tickets. Obviously invested to win those tickets, but I've been very selective and good at getting in games that are plus EV, I think, with the tickets. So in that regard, I feel good. And pertaining to how much I've invested in the queues, my wife's in the other room, so don't want to be too loud, but we could probably buy a house with the money that I've invested in the queues. Maybe not that high, but yeah, they're obviously you're paying when you're investing in those. Basically, you're doing it for the experience, and that's definitely the big driver for me. I think it's like the most fun thing. Obviously, they used to be a lot more inefficient back in the day, and I think they're probably plus EV just from a monetary standpoint, but you have to be one of the best, unique kind of contrarian thinkers, and that's certainly not my strength. But these super Qs, I feel much better about, like the EV that I'm getting, just because finishing in the top 8 versus finishing first is a different approach that I think I'm a little bit better at. So hoping I can ship a seat this week. I'm definitely pot committed, I guess. But yeah, I think there's some additional value outside of just the monetary stuff. But Bales, what are your thoughts? I know we both bricked the first 3 that we each put in last time.
Good question. A lot of good questions there. Yeah, I put in 3. I would normally not be that aggressive, but I like the super Qs quite a bit. So you mentioned the EV which I think if there's just one like a true Q, it actually works in my favor. Just the way that I play, which is a little bit more ownership centric or exploitative of what I think other people are going to do. But it's just so high variance that like I think I've gotten super lucky in a lot of these things. I haven't fired too much in Qs in the past and have qualified for not like a huge number, but way above expectation. I've gotten lucky. But it's just like so volatile, and I recognize that. So the super Qs are really good, just because it's, I don't know, 8% or something make it. It's not incredibly high variance, and you're still like pretty incentivized to create a the normal type of lineup that I would make and that I think that I'm good at. So probably won't do 3 again this week, but maybe 2.
Bales, you gotta do 3, bro.
Okay.
Got a man up.
Yeah, dude. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I had 1, and I was like, hey, should I do a second one? Like maybe I'll just fire, and I ended up with 3 after Peter just peer pressured me into.
Yeah, I'm an awful friend. I'm going to peer pressure you into something negative EV from a monetary standpoint yet again. Levitan, you're the smart one of the 3 donkeys here. You're also the nit of the group. So give us your thoughts on these qualifiers.
Yeah, so I only chased it one time. I played the 1K in the 2015 season for I think the first 10 weeks or 11 weeks. Had 1 sweat, ended up like 3rd or 4th. The 1K at that time was 100 man with only 1 seat. Like seat value was something absurd, like 90K or just like something totally ridiculous. So it was only first place, got the seat. 99 people got like nothing. So yeah, I played it 10 weeks. Had 1 mini sweat, not even a real sweat, got like 4th, and all the rest of them were just total disasters. And I don't know, man, it was just like tilting me too hard, and like was the only thing I was worried about all week was like my team in this queue, which was so different from the way I normally play. So I thought it was affecting me in other ways too. So I just decided that it wasn't worth it. And like, people, the one thing people don't realize about the queues, like, oh, yay, I qualified. Look at this total winnings in my DraftKings screenshot. Well, in order to realize that equity, you then need to go to the live final and compete against all these amazing players and finish in like the top 15% again, just to realize your seed equity. So from that standpoint, it's like really bad if you're trying to build a role, if you're trying to expand your brand, if you want to take a shot on actually something life-changing money, which I think is worthwhile, then it's great. If people are trying to qualify for Qs because they want to grind or they want to build their role or whatever, it's just a total disaster.
My argument for you to do it is like you said about the brand equity. There is a value in that where maybe it's then break even, and then the variance you can sell like at pretty much any amount of it that you want, right? Like you can sell probably at a markup too. So you wouldn't necessarily need to deal with that. Not really realizing the equity once you get there.
Yeah, for sure. And I've been playing more tournaments this year than normal, in partially due to like brand equity value. You know what I mean? Like if for some reason I got fucking so lucky and took down the Wildcat or whatever, like that would be amazing, right? Not just because I took down the Wildcat, but because like, people would be like, oh, he has a GPP win, blah, blah, blah. Like I really don't care, but I think other people do. So, but I haven't had a sweat or even come close. So kind of is what it is. But yeah, I don't know, man. I hope you guys.
So I used to grind these things super hard and pride myself on making every live final, and was pretty fortunate in the early days of the industry. And I think there's obviously a ton of value in that outside of just the money. I mean, the way DFS was trending, there was a lot of opportunity, and obviously it's been great. We're very fortunate to be part of the content game that is important in DFS, and it could have been a lot bigger, if we had a smoother year in 2015, and hopefully we can still get to a really good point with that stuff. But yeah, that's the real reason you would want to chase it, is if you think that the brand equity is there. And then also, life is short. Like one thing I've really tried to focus on, especially after I had that bad Achilles injury, is like really enjoying every day and like trying to have fun and be around people I want to be around. And these events are freaking awesome. Like that's one thing that the DFS industry has done really well is, created like the allure and like the experience of these live finals. And that part is super appealing from an entertainment standpoint. The branding stuff's worth less than I think it used to be, but still chasing. Negative EV. If you're grinding, it's like the worst. I feel like that's like the biggest mistake. And like the other thing that people do that I think is bad is they have like a huge score or they have like a great week or whatever, and their bankroll changes dramatically, and then all of a sudden they think they're the world's greatest DFS player, and they start firing into all these freaking huge queues and all that stuff. And that's probably the biggest mistake that's led to people going broke more than anything else in DFS.
All right. Anything else on queues, Bales?
No, not really. I guess the other thing I'd say that, I mean, pretty much what Peter said was like the experience of being there, you can't really place a dollar value on. And, why do you even want money in the first place? Not to get too philosophical, but to be happy, and like you should do the things that you like to do. And those things can be incredibly valuable to you if it's something that you enjoy. And, I think that the live finals are incredibly valuable from that standpoint, where if it's just like a happiness EV, then I think that definitely certain people are justified in entering those.
I've never qualified for a live final, but I've been to a lot of them, so I can get the best of both worlds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you were with me when I made the egregious choice of playing Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
I remember that.
All right. Who wants to explain what's going on with crypto? Because there was a huge news in the crypto world last week. The hard fork that was expected to go off was canceled at the last minute, and I think a surprising move. I really don't know a ton about it. I don't know which one of you guys can explain it better, but there is still contention between Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin, the different teams right now. I do know that. I don't know. Who wants to explain this?
Go for it, Bales.
I can't explain it that well, honestly. All I know is that, yes, so I believe we do the podcast, we record on Tuesday nights, and so we were talking about it. It was coming up the next day, I think, and it was called off. And then, or it might have been planned to happen on Thursday. Whatever it was called off. And I saw that like the second it happened. And what I did was move a lot of my Bitcoin into initially I actually bought more Bitcoin very quickly and then sold it and moved into altcoins. And what's happened in every fork is that basically people think that they're getting free money. Whether they are or not is debatable based on how much you think each coin is going to rise and fall. But people think they're getting more money, so they buy a bunch of Bitcoin or they hoard their Bitcoin, and then after the fork takes place, they get their free coins and they move it back into alts, and alts generally surge. And so when that happened, I thought that maybe there was a good chance that would take place again, and bought some of the pod favorites in OMG and ARK and Ethereum and stuff. So I don't know too much about it from a technical standpoint, just more of a speculation and trying to make money off of it. And so that's what I did when it was announced. But yeah, there's still there's still a pretty big debate. Bitcoin Cash went through the roof in the days after that. I think thousands of dollars, and has since retreated a bit. But there's some like pretty respected people in crypto that I think are on the Bitcoin Cash side of that debate, which is somewhat surprising to me.
Are they respected though? I saw like Harlbob like going after some of these guys that are like allegedly respected on the Bitcoin Cash side.
Well, Harlbob obviously is one of the most sharp guys that are out there, and especially in terms of sports speculation and alternative investing. Obviously, he's done well in poker and a variety of different things, and certainly was early on the crypto train. But he's been very long BTC in general. So, it's tough. I think one challenge with crypto in general, and certainly something I'm naive on, but have noticed just from following it more, is people are very biased to whatever they're holding. And I'm not saying this is specific to Haralabob, but I think you have to be very cognizant of what people are continuing to pitch. Obviously, people are incentivized to, tout whatever they're in. So, I've seen both sides. Bitcoin Cash went crazy initially. There's also a big story about how I think it was like 300 million of BTC. The transactions weren't approved yet, and there's definitely some challenges there. But BTC definitely has recovered over the last couple of days. As we're looking right now, it's actually gone up quite a bit in the last even hour.
Oh yeah, it went up like $300 or something since we started, I think.
Yeah, so it's a little over 6,900 as we're recording here. All these exchanges and wallets still support it, and that was a big argument that Haralabob was making, which I think makes a ton of sense. He's also saying all this hedge fund money is going to be coming in, which is obviously a huge aspect of it as well. So definitely interesting times. I listened to a podcast that I really like called Invest Like the Best, and they've had a lot of really good people on crypto, and a book that I just bought on Amazon, Crypto Assets, should be getting here soon. So hopefully I can speak a little bit more knowledgeably about crypto going forward. One thing just I want to clarify too for all of us, we've never proclaimed to be experts. We're just talking about it as kind of noobs, but we're trying to learn as much as we can. And Bales has been a pretty goat alt trader over there.
Yeah. I mean, we say the donkey thing somewhat facetiously about DFS. We know, not that we're the best in the world, but we know what we're doing with DFS. We're true donkeys in crypto. I don't know what I'm doing. But the book that Peter just mentioned, I think is by Chris Bernicki, or I forget how to say his name. But he seems to be, he's one of my favorite follows, seems to be one of the most legitimate people in crypto, and I would recommend that book.
He's amazing on that podcast, and he really goes into it and then talks about how all these different things work, and it was really, really good. So I'd highly recommend listening to that if you are really curious. There's a lot of good resources out there, but I wasn't trying to throw any shade at Haralabob. I was obviously very, very sharp. I think the overall point is be cognizant of what people have incentive to push.
The only move I made during the fork episode, I saw Bitcoin get down to 5,800, and I know absolutely nothing, but I know that 5,800 seemed like a pretty good time to buy if you believe in Bitcoin.
So Levitan, why does that seem like 5,800? If I said that to you a year ago, you would have said I was nuts. It's just relative to its previous high, right? You're just trying to buy these dips.
Exactly. I'm just looking for chances to buy more where I think it's low. I don't know, man. Exactly. No real reason.
There is a reason though. In the absolute sense, there isn't. I don't know what Bitcoin's worth. We can try to calculate it. I have no clue. But in the relative sense, it does make sense, because there's all this people get anchored to where they bought, right? So it's highly unlikely, unless there's a real downside scenario, that Bitcoin would drop $4,000 or something now. In the short term, it'd just be really difficult. So there's all this momentum that if it does drop, it would go back up. So you're mostly just buying into public psychology or something like that. So I do think that there is a reason that you would do that, and maybe even be profitable, because it's so inefficient at just buying what you perceive as dips. I don't think that's
I think that's pretty well said, Bills, but I disagree with you on one aspect of it. I think it is possible, and I wouldn't say likely, but these big drop-offs could definitely happen. I think that's one concern kind of about everything, is one big hack or one issue. And with any asset class, in general, historically, things will go down a lot faster than they go up. So Bitcoin went up so fast. I think it's possible that it could go way down. But I agree with you. I agree with your point that people are anchored to the price that they bought at. So from a psychology perspective, I understand that. I am concerned. I'm not concerned, but I do think it's within the realm of possibility that we could see like a major crash.
I definitely agree with that. I'm not saying that there can't be. I meant if there's not a downside scenario, like no hack, no like
right. So no big event. It's not going to trend down.
Yeah, it's not going to trend down to 2K at this point. Like something bad would have to happen.
All right, let's get to the picks. Oh, we didn't even mention I won the 3-man this past week. Shout out to me. You can go to the3donkeys.com to check the standings. I haven't checked lately, but I feel like I've been doing pretty well lately. I got to be up some money on you guys.
I'm just down. You guys are winning. I mean, what's new?
Yeah, let's check it.
I caught an error. I'm gonna have to go through and
we fixed it. I had Sean fix it.
That's what they all say. That's when Bales is way up.
Dude, I don't even do this thing.
You guys are smashing. I'm getting smashed. What's new?
According to the result, Levitan is in first now. He's up 650. I'm up 500. Peter's down 1150.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to get some more money on BA to get closer here, boys. That's what I need to happen.
I'm still willing to give you 4-1.
No, I will not give you 4-1.
I'll take 7-1.
Yeah, you guys just throwing out outrageous prices.
And that's not outrageous, dude. I just need motivation. That's really for me to just continue to work out.
7-1? I mean, come on.
You know that I have no shot.
Bills, you are the youngest guy in the race. You're the most athletic guy in the race. How is 7-1?
All right, me and Levitan are basically the same age. And BA is not that much older either.
I'm calling BS, but yeah, we got the picks. Levitan, you're the GOAT. You won the 3-man. You won the 4-man. You know.
Yeah.
The real question is, when is the cast coming off? What's the update from Dr. Wang?
Oh yeah, I met with Dr. Wang today. Had a nice meeting with Dr. Wang, and he said it looks beautiful. He's really happy with my progress. He said to be safe, I should wear it for 4 more weeks. This cast. But now I do have his permission to like take it off for certain things, such as showers. He recommended that I didn't do any sports during this 4-week period. But yeah, we're coming towards the end. Like we're definitely getting there. So should be good soon. Won't need surgery. He confirmed I won't need surgery as long as nothing bad happens in the next 4 weeks. So
if I were you, I would have that thing off already.
Yeah.
Levitan's been so disciplined. It's been impressive.
Yeah, you don't need to. He's just overly cautious. You definitely don't need to listen to that.
Levitan, you've shown some pretty nice discipline. I know you have some life events coming up in the future, but I feel like there's a big splurge / celebration / I don't even know. I feel like you're going to go crazy after the NFL season's over. What are your...
Yeah. I don't know,
maybe
man.
in the summer plans. Like, when are you going to let your hair down, buddy, and go wild?
I don't know, man. I mean, I was in Vegas for 10 days this past summer. The craziest thing I did was like eat sushi with fucking Bales and Barstool Nate and shit like that. So I don't know.
He didn't get out of line at all, did he, Bales? Like, I can't even imagine Levitan out of line.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Nate.
You got out of line. Nate got out of line.
Nate got a little bit out of line. We were trying to – I mean, the whole thing was to try to get him super out of line, so we were just, like, getting really out of line. But, I mean, Levitan was playing, so I didn't see it that much.
I was grinding WNBA. I was playing in the tournament.
Hey, he was fucking in California with Mans in the desert setting WNBA lineups. Like,
I mean, talk about not living it up. I mean, jeez, Levitan.
Oh no, we did play blackjack. Like, it was more depressing than our blackjack session.
Our blackjack session was about as depressing as it gets.
Nah, it's not. Me and Levitan played, and it was somehow worse. We lost like every hand and just
it's the worst game ever.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the picks. I think we all
didn't even answer the question, bud. Just give us something.
We're gonna party after the season. Me and Levitan are gonna go to Barclay Prime to celebrate our deal in NFL and get some. They have the like $130 cheesesteak there that we're gonna get. So.
All right. I guess that's.
Yeah, I went to the Palm 2 days ago. You guys know the Palm, obviously, right? It's like a chain, but like a fancy chain restaurant. They charged me $13.50 for French fries. I got like a salad, and I asked for a side of French fries. $13.50, egregious, right?
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
There's only one person who tilts more, and then we'll get into the picks about food pricing, but is also a great guy. If we'll have to get him some on one of these podcasts or do something with him. Bird Wings, DFS player. I mean, the guy has just crushed DFS, stock market, all these things, and then he's eating ramen at home. And like every time he goes out to eat, he is always concerned about the price. But then, contrary to that, thought process, he's willing to pay people thousands of dollars if they complete these food eating stuff. Like, pay 30 chicken nuggets or something, or 50 of them. He'll pay you like thousands of dollars. So
a free roll, not even a bet.
Not even a bet. He will free roll you.
I really like spending a lot of money on food. Like, I'm always willing to spend a lot of money on food, certainly for quality. This was just like the biggest shock ever, the French fries thing. But anyways.
We should, quick note, we should do Scott, mark this down. We should do some food talk in restaurants in Philly, Denver, or whatever next week.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Good
Love
call.
talking about
Good
food.
call.
All right, last week, all of us went 1 and 2. Is that correct, Bales?
That's right.
So we all chopped last week, an embarrassing performance. All three of us went 1 and 2. Let's get to this week's picks. I believe it is Bale's turn to go first, and then Peter.
Okay, so I will go Philly, Dallas, under 48. There is the big argument against that. It would be no Sean Lee, but I think the fact that the Cowboys might and probably won't have Tyron Smith, their left tackle, is equally devastating, probably even worse. I don't know if you guys watched that game last week. The Cowboys' offense is really bad without Tyron in there, and obviously no Zeke. And I think that the Eagles could potentially score a bunch, but it's going to be really difficult for Dallas to score against that really good Eagles defense. So I'll go under 48 in that.
All right, Peter.
I'm going to hope Bales doubles down on this one. I'm going to take the Eagles -3 versus this Dallas team for a lot of the reasons you just mentioned with the injuries. I hope – or is it 3.5 right now?
It's 3.5, I think.
Yep, 3.5.
All right, I guess I'm sticking with it. I don't like that number, but I'm still going to take the Eagles. I know the Peters injury is a little concerning, but I like the Eagles in this spot going against Dallas with these injuries. I think the Eagles are the real deal. I think the defense will be able to win, and Carson Wentz I think is a nice play. Since it's 3.5, can I keep that one but do a different pick, or no?
What do you mean?
Oh, wow.
All right, never mind. I want to. I have another pick that I would have liked more than the Eagles at 3.5, but I guess I'm already done. So
honestly, that was my next pick. So you have to take.
Okay, I'm staying there. I got the Eagles -3.5.
All right, I will go with the over in the Giants-Kansas City game. I believe it's 44 right now. We see, like last week in that Giants-San Francisco game, where you get bad teams, but they are forced to throw a ton. The Giants' run game is pretty inept, even though I know Orleans Darkwood's played better lately. But, yeah, I think that the Chiefs will come out of the bye and play really well here offensively, just like Andy Reid always does. And, the Giants just throw so much, or are forced into throwing so much, that it creates a lot of plays. So I'm surprised it's open so low. That scares me a little bit, but I will stick with over the 44.
I'll go Rams-Vikings under, I think it's at 46. We have the Rams projected for bottom 2 percentile in terms of plays, but historically. I think that both those offenses are probably being a little bit overhyped right now, and I'm not gonna bet too much long term on. Maybe I'm wrong, but on Case Keenum, I do like Goff a bit, but I think that line should be closer to 43 or so.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go with Kansas City giving 10.5 points, which I know sounds crazy, but Andy Reid, 16-2 after the bye. The Giants, I thought that last week they might bounce back a little bit, but it's just so clear. All these guys have quit. I know that they still have individual incentive. They don't want to put that much bad tape out there, but the team has totally quit. Kansas City, I think Alex Smith, Kelsey, Tyreek, they have the upside to win this game by multiple touchdowns, and I'll go with Andy Reid off the bye.
All right, I am going to go to a home dog where I love so much these home doggies, and I'm going to take the Raiders getting the 7 back-to-back road games.
Love it, damn. You know where that game is, buddy?
No, no.
It's in Mexico City.
No.
And you want to hear an even worse angle for you. You already put it in. But normally I'm the massive donkey on these. Thank goodness we got Levitan here. The Patriots are actually still here in Colorado at the Air Force Academy training. Yeah. The Air Force Academy, it's the same elevation as it is in Mexico City. Literally the same. So take your home doggy, the Raiders, and at least you have Amari Cooper on your side. That's good news.
Oh my God! Why are they playing in Mexico City? That's insane. And why is the line only
Good pick,
7?
buddy. Good pick. Good pick.
I like the Patriots now.
Well, you already locked it in.
The Patriots opened at 5.5.
For anyone who listens to these picks, I mean, it's just like I feel bad. Like we are really donkeys on these picks. I guess you listen to the picks to just take the inverse of what I'm taking. That can't be bad.
You know what?
We need to add up our records on the year. I don't think we're actually doing that bad.
I think you and Levitan have made some good picks. I mean, I'm just a total moron. I mean,
people, like try to compare sports betting and DFS. Like it is not even comparable. Like you can be a total donkey, not know that a game is played in Mexico, not know that it's played in London, and you're still like at worst 45, 55. At worst, if you know nothing and try to play DFS, you're gonna get your absolute teeth kicked in. So I kind of hate when people make the comp between DFS and sports betting. And I think we've kind of proven that here that, we're obviously total donkeys. We're making these picks on Tuesday. We don't know where games are played, but we're probably still over 500.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
it's tough. Tuesdays are tough for football, especially in the NBA.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you feel though? I like 2 weeks in a row on the NFL podcast. I'm like, oh, I love these guys at home. And then Friedman would be like, Pete, you realize that's in London. I'm happy Levitan's on the Raiders, so that's good news.
No, I like the Patriots now, but I have to stick with the pick.
You can't backtrack. You guys.
I know. Scott, the intern, locked me in with the Raiders. I know. All right, go ahead, Bales.
I like a couple home dogs. I like Cleveland plus 7.5. I'm debating between Cleveland 7.5 and the Giants plus 10.5.
You're the Giants, dude. We'll book an extra one.
Yeah, that's why I'm gonna do it.
Get both of them.
I'm gonna do the Giants plus 10.5 just to do a bet with you.
Okay. I'm gonna take the other home dog.
That's a bet. We have that prop.
That's a side prop.
Yeah, I'll actually take. I actually like the Browns a bit more. So if it's okay with you guys, I'll take the Browns as my third pick for the bets, and then you and I will do a separate bet on the Giants.
Yeah, and I want to make sure I got credit for that bet that we had last week.
Oh, you did.
I don't know. I see.
Look in the props. You should have gotten $100 in the props.
I'm trying to see. Let's see here.
You did.
Sweet 10. All right. We're on for that one. I think the Browns one is pretty sneaky. Friedman, shout out to him, took him as a bold call to the Browns get their first win of the season. I'd be very scared of that defense, but I get it. I'll take the Bears in a bounce-back spot, getting 3 points versus this Lions team that can only throw. I don't have a ton of conviction around it, but Bears getting way less tickets, obviously, and the Lions where it is. So I feel good that the Bears as a home dog are a decent call. You're on mute, Levitan.
You're on mute, Levitan. There you go.
My last pick is going to be the Browns and the Jaguars under. I know it's really low. It's down at 37. I think this will be an absolute slugfest between two teams who wish to hide their quarterbacks in Deshaun Kaiser and Blake Bortles. So I think we'll see a really sluggish, slow game. So under 37. I think sometimes when we see these really extreme lines, like the total is 56, we have to bet the under, or like the total is 36, we have to bet the over. Well, they're there for a reason. So I will go with under in the Cleveland-Jacksonville game, and that is going to wrap up this edition of the Three Donkeys podcast. We will be back next week, Thanksgiving week. We're going to have an alternate time, I believe, next week with the release due to Thanksgiving, but we will let you guys know. For Jerry, for Bales, for Peter, I am Adam. Good luck this weekend.